All right, so our next speaker is we have Matthew Davis, the Intellectual Property Manager for UNM Rainforest Innovations. Matthew has 12 years working in technology commercialization and economic development, a focus on intellectual property protection and education for high-tech startups. Matthew will be sharing Building a Rainforest in the Desert, an overview of the UNM Rainforest Innovations. Please welcome Matthew.
All right, well, thank you for having me. I just wanted to come and discuss what my office is and how it kind of interfaces with UNM's research initiatives. So UNM Rainforest Innovations is UNM's Technology Transfer Office and Economic Development Office. We were formed in 1995. We were initially called Science and Technology Corporation. We shortened that to stc.unm. And then in 2020, in order to reflect, our initiative of the rainforest, which I'll get into a little bit later, we rebranded ourselves as UNM Rainforest Innovations. But fundamentally, the mission is still the same. Is basically we do, two things. General technology transfer, which is the taking of UNM research, securing patent protection, commercializing that, and then through those activities, creating startups or working with larger companies to fund New Mexico's economic development activity and UNM's role in that economic development. So we're owned by the UNM Board of Regents. So we're kind of an independent entity. So we have kind of a very large board of directors. Half of this is folks from UNM. Half of this is business community members from New Mexico and outside of New Mexico. And then a few people even from other technology centers like Sandia National Labs. So I want to talk about kind of the general process of what we do on the technology transfer side. If you're not familiar with it, it's, a researcher comes with their technology. We file that with United States Patent and Trademark Office. And after about 3 to 5 years of, communications with them, we get an issued patent, and then that allows us to sign option and license agreements with, companies or to form startups around that technology. And these are some of our metrics. Sorry if that's a little hard to read. There is very busy, but it does, show our entire history. Right now, we're still kind of dealing with the 2020 dent, the closure of labs. That had a lot of knock-on effects on our number of disclosures. We would like to get about 100 invention disclosures a year. That turns into, roughly about 40 to 50 issued patents a year. And, somewhere around, 8 to 10 license agreements. This is our revenue. The 2 green spikes are from our infringement activities. UNM is very vigorous in protecting its intellectual property. And so these were the result of us going after some foreign companies for them basically infringing on some of our semiconductor technology that came out of the Center of High-Tech Materials. These are some of our metrics on our startup companies. Again, you can see the fiscal year of 2020 caused a dent in that. But we are trying to work on trying to get back to about 10 startups per year. Invention disclosures. So what we do is that we have a website, but we will do personal visits with faculty, seminars like this one, our newsletters, press releases, in order to try to communicate to the larger UNM that they should come to us in order to gain patent protection and to commercialize their research. We received 94 disclosures last year. And once we get that disclosure, we'll start a process looking for if it's patentable and if any commercial potential, usually through our marketing activities. So we normally go after patents We do consider other types of intellectual property like trademarks, copyrights, and trade secrets, but patents are generally the most common form. This is what I mainly do at UNM Rainforest Innovations is shepherd a lot of the research through this very long and tortured process with the USPTO. It will start off with filing a provisional patent that lasts for about a year, and then we will file a conversion about after that time, usually, just in the United States for a full application there. Or if it does have some international marketability, we'll file an international PCT patent and look for coverage, usually in Europe, Japan, Canada, etc. So we're ranked pretty well in the number of patents. Worldwide, last year we ranked 93rd, and in the United States, 53rd for about our patents, and that was around 40. So if we get about like 50, we go substantially higher. This is some of the tools and processes that we do to market our technology. As opposed to other technology transfer offices, we actively market UNM research out to the wider business community. One of these things is through Flintbox, which is an online database where we can post non-confidential summaries of UNM research and try to attract interest in people either wanting to form a startup or to license it from their larger company. Mainly, we really try to help create startups, though. We've created 170 companies out of UNM research. 54% of those are still in business. That's actually much higher than average. And 51 of those startups are still active in New Mexico. And it's about half and half UNM main campus and half health sciences. I'll go over a couple of success stories from health sciences in particular. IntelliSite was one of our biggest ones. This raised about 20 million with its high throughput flow cytometry technology. And then it was bought by Sartorius AG in 2016 and now is owned by SN Biosciences, but they still maintain a presence here in New Mexico. Banu Bio is another company with high throughput flow cytometry technology. This was raised 6 million. And this was actually bought recently by a company called Precision Cell Systems. So they're just kind of working out that deal. But that one, just got acquired. Third company, Circular Genomics. This actually moved out of New Mexico to San Diego, but they recently produced a new response test using brain-derived biomarkers, basically circular RNA, to test for things like depression. And so they've developed a test, and now I think they're about ready to have that commercialized. We do a lot of programs to support UNM startups. I'll talk about the accelerator program and the co-investment fund in a little bit more detail, but the Checky Venture Lab, that is office space in our Lobo Rainforest building, where startup companies can actually have, some of the services at a discounted price than, normal office space. And then we also do a lot of presentations and outreach to angel investing, venture capital, anyone who also wants to start up, entrepreneurs, etc. So I want to talk a little bit more about our co-investment fund. So this is a partnership between us and UNM Foundation, and we provide about $100K of co-investment fund to early to mid-stage startups. And we've actually invested 22 startups to date, one just in the last month. So then we also run a Rainforest Accelerator program. We used to be a UNM iCore site, which focused on basically customer discovery for new startups. After that grant ran out, we started our own program that has a little bit more focus on entrepreneurship training as well. So we currently have a cohort running until November 12th. And then, we've trained about 36 teams up to that point. So we also do a yearly recognition of UNM inventors who've got issued patents. This is our innovation awards. It happens in late April to May. And each innovation awards, we recognize an innovation fellow. So these are UNM researchers who have issued patents that have also been commercialized into a company. So as you can see, it's about half and half, health sciences, main campus. A lot of those fellows we sponsor at the National Academy of Inventors Fellows. So this is a program that we started in 2015, and we're trying to get all of our fellows into that and continue on to get them nationally recognized as well. So as we compare to our peers, these are the 22 universities that are kind of equivalent funding to UNM. We rank pretty well in the number of license and option agreements signed. So actually getting that research to the companies, and then sixth in the number of startup companies created. So this was based off of last year's data from the Association of University Technology Managers. Now they just call themselves Autumn. They do a 10-year survey. The next one's going to be in 2028. But last survey, we ranked 23rd in the United States for the amount of startups that we've created out of UNM research. So the other side of the office is economic development, and we try to do this rainforest model. The rainforest model comes from a book called The Rainforest by two investors and capitalists from Silicon Valley, Victor Rang and David Horowitz. They wrote a book called The Rainforest, basically trying to figure out the secrets of Silicon Valley about why it works. And they basically come up with the idea that it's a bottom-up model, that if you get the right people, you get the right funding, and you just kind of throw them all together, you can create naturally occurring environments that improve economic conditions. So that's what we're trying to do here in New Mexico, is try to get the right people together. UNM Rainforest Innovations, it's what's called a keystone organization, kind of a point of contact between all the different groups, researchers, entrepreneurs, and venture capitalists. So we've received several awards for our initiatives. Two big ones is that we received an award for our Lobo Rainforest building, which is located on Broadway and Central. It has our offices. Sandia National Lab has an office there. The Speaker of the House for New Mexico has an office there. And then there's 5 stories of student housing. We run a lot of events, which I'll go through at our building. Again, trying to get the right people together to form and start up companies. We also received an award for our tribal entrepreneurship program recently. So unfortunately, I don't have the time to go over that one, but continuing on. One of the big events that we do is called Innovate New Mexico. We're going to have a showcase on March 3rd. This is where we partner with other technology centers, New Mexico State, Sandia National Labs, NASA, et cetera, to showcase technologies that were created in New Mexico to the wider business community. And so this is not just New Mexico, but it's also within the Southwest region. So we also provide online entrepreneurial training to folks. So we have a YouTube channel and about 8 videos, but if you watch 7 of them and sign up, you can get a certificate in entrepreneurship from us. We provide mentorship for young entrepreneurs. We have mentor office hours through our contacts over the years who have started up companies and successfully exited. And then we also host SCORE office hours. So this is a society of retired executives, and they come, once a month and provide free mentorship. Our internal partner is Innovation Academy. This is a meta-curricular program that basically rides alongside various majors. We'll talk about some of the things that we partner with them in a minute, but they've awarded about $500,000 to students through the program and about $3 million from outside outside sources. And they just have a new impact report. So I'll be providing additional details on that after the seminar is over here. So with Innovation Academy, we have a pitch deck competition. So this is for early stage companies. Usually there's a student, and we have been running this for about 5 years now, and we rewarded $60,000 in prize money. So this is where small teams of entrepreneurs who are starting a company will come, give a pitch on what their company is about, and then we'll have a number, and we'll have a competition to see which one is the most promising or best pitch. We also run a global hackathon. This usually occurs in April. This is basically kind of a 2-day event where it's open to anyone. They come to our office, they form teams, and then for the next 24 hours, they actually, prototype goods or, develop an app, basically creating a small startup, and then we award prize money to the best one of that one. So we also have a Rainforest Forum. This is kind of a discussion between folks from UNM and the wider New Mexico business community. So we have these pretty regularly. So this is just, getting people together to talk some more. We're also going to have a business and economic summit on the 19th, and the topic is going to be New Mexico entrepreneurship. And then we have a CEO of Innersphere Ventures. Let me get his name real quickly. I think it's Mike Freeman. And he will be presenting, but it's a 1-day event. We have, multiple panels of speakers. We hosted our building, and we basically, talk about New Mexico's economy, challenges, potential for it. A couple of years ago, we had a lot of people from the legislature come and talk to us about it. Speaking of the government, we also work with the state of New Mexico's Economic Development Department, basically helping them contact entrepreneurs for a lot of government funding. University Team Award pitch. We've provided, $200,000 to a couple of awardees there in 2024. We had the Advanced Energy Award pitch for 2024 and 2025. That's total about $3 million in government funding this is mainly mid to late startup companies. And recently we did the New Mexico Quantum's Award Pilot Program. We just ended accepting applications, and we just had our first awardee, a company called Mesa Quantum Technologies. And so that's and part of our lobbying initiative with the legislature is something called Right to Start. This also comes from Victor Rang. This is essentially a bunch of policies that we are trying to get the legislature to make into law to reduce the barriers of entry for entrepreneurial activity, funding, healthcare costs, marketing challenges, access to capital, basically reducing that so that everyone who's interested has the right to start their own entrepreneurship or their own company. So if you want to come into contact with us, we have our website. This is where you can also disclose your inventions, get to know a little bit more about us. You can call us, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We are located again on the corner of Central and Broadway. That's my information if you want to contact me as the intellectual property manager. And then we have a dedicated innovation manager, Greg Banninger, for health sciences. He couldn't make it today, but you can always contact him if you are interested more about how the health sciences and UNM Rainforest Innovations connects. So, and that's it for me.
All right, thank you so much. We just have a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
The first question is, do you work with researchers at other New Mexico universities? And I would add to that, is it typical for other institutions to have a similar office that researchers could work with?
Yes, yeah. So each university does have its own technology transfer office. But if there is a joint invention, if researchers from both institutions jointly invented something, we will work with that technology transfer office to help commercialize it and protect that intellectual property. So yes, we do work with, New Mexico State, New Mexico Tech, and various other universities around the country.
Okay, but that would be through their office that is sort of your equivalent?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. One other question, question asking how you are funded, is it through the university, and is your funding secure?
Yeah, so part of our funding is through UNM currently, but we are working to become self-sufficient. And we are, we are partially funded by our own funds on our, licensing, and then our own, endowment that we run.
Okay, great. That's all the questions I have. Does anybody in the audience have a question? Sure.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so if we decide not to go through with the patent process, that happens about, and that happen, sorry, let me get back. If we decide not to go through the patenting process with a certain technology, if the, PI wants to pursue it on their own, we do transfer the rights back to them. So that's kind of an easy process, most of them, so.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.